The yellow wallpaper is stored through diary entries written by a woman experiencing postpartum depression. She and her husband, John, rent a large old house in the countryside of the summer. Jen believes that the fresh air and quiet atmosphere will help his wife recover from what he views as mild hysteria. However, he refuses to take her concerns and treats her like a child. The narrator feels stifled by John's strict treatment plan, which forbids her from any mental stimulation, including writing or socializing. Despite his disapproval, she secretly keeps a diary. The couple stays in a former nursery at the top of the house, a room with bared windows and hideous yellow wallpaper. And that soon becomes the focus of her obsession. As time passes, the narrator becomes increasingly fixated on the wallpaper's bizarre, confusing pattern. She believes there is a trapped figure, a creeping woman. Her isolation deepens as her mental state worsens, and she grows suspicious of John and his sister, Jenny. She becomes convinced they are watching her and that the two are interested in the wallpaper. As her descent into madness accelerates, she believes it is her mission to free the woman trapped in the wallpaper just before they are due. To leave the house, she locks herself in the room, throws the key outside, and begins staring down the wallpaper in the story's climax. She fully identifies with the imprisoned woman and starts scrolling endlessly around the room. But when John finally breaks in and sees her, he faints. She continues scrolling over his unconscious body, lost in her madness. Critical analysis. The yellow wallpaper in the story is rich with symbolism. Initially dismissed as ugly and irritating, the wallpaper becomes a reflection of the narrator's deteriorating mental state. As her isolation deepens, she becomes obsessed with deciphering its complex, chaotic patterns, eventually imagining a woman trapped behind it. The wallpaper represents the social constraints that trap women in domestic needs, just as the woman in the wallpaper struggles to break free. The narrator feels imprisoned by the expectations and restrictions placed on her by her husband and society. Her ultimate identification with the creeping woman, symbolizing a complete mental and emotional breakdown, but also a final radical act of rebellion. The story offers a groundbreaking psychological portrait of a woman suffering from postpartum depression long before this condition was widely recognized or understood. Gilman critiques the medical practices of her time, especially the rescue, which discouraged emotional expression and intellectual engagement. Instead of improving, the narrator's mental health deteriorates under this treatment, showing that repression and isolation can be more harmful than the illness itself. This critique is both personal and political. Gilman wrote, the story in part warned against such treatments and to advocate for more humane, empowering approaches to mental health. This story was told in first person through secret diary entries. The story allows readers intimate access to the narrator's inner world. Her voice begins as rational and articulate, but gradually becomes fragmented and hallucinatory. The shift in tone reflects her psychological unraveling and immerses the reader in her subjective experience. The unreliability of the narrator adds complexity to the story. Readers are forced to question what is real and what is imagined, deepening the sense of unease and highlighting the dangers of isolation and invalidating someone who is mentally unwell. While the ending may appear tragic, it also contains a sense of dark triumph. By tearing down the wallpaper and identifying with the trapped woman, the narrator symbolically frees herself from the constraints imposed by her husband and society. Her madness becomes a form of resilience, an escape from a world that refuses to see or hear her. This duality of despair and liberation makes the yellow wallpaper both haunting and revolutionary. It forces readers to confront the consequences of silencing women and ignoring the mental health. Now, what can be the conclusion? We can conclude The Yellow Wallpaper is a masterpiece and blend of psychological horror and feminist literature. Charlotte Perkins Gilman uses a seemingly simple narrative to explore deep social flaws related to gender, mental illness, and the medical establishment. The story remains profoundly relevant today, reminding us of the importance of listening of marginalized voices and treating mental health with empathy and respect. Through its rich symbolism and emotional depth, the Yellow Wallpaper continues to be a powerful call for autonomy, understanding, and reform. I hope you would like this video. For more such videos, do subscribe our channel.